Josh Green here for Tungsten Tales. Delighted to be joined by Jules Van Dongen back on the PDC Pro Tour after just a few days away. How you doing, Jules?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well, mate. And you must be feeling good after what you achieved down at Q School. One of the toughest tournaments to go to, especially in terms of mentally. How was it for you?
Um, yeah, I was kind of relaxed under the whole situation. I had a backup plan if I didn't get my tour card. Obviously, I really wanted to get it back, but I don't know. I was fairly relaxed under the situation, given what's at stake. Um, but yeah, then when I finally, had it, it was quite a relief, obviously.
How much of an advantage is that mindset of being relaxed? Because most people go in there and it feels like do or die, really.
Yeah, it's very important because I remember the first day I walked in and you watch the data on Twitter and all that, and people give you a good chance of getting a tour card. And then when I look in the room, like, man, there's a lot of good players here, and you could have easily gone out with 0 points. Obviously there's a little bit of luck in there as well, but yeah, ultimately you still have to play well yourself, and if you don't do that, then you're going home regardless. But yeah, I think for me it was another good weekend, other than the first day. And yeah, I didn't get really in trouble. After 2 days on 6 points, you go relaxed into day three.
How different did it feel to 2 years ago when you were trying to get your tour card for the first time?
Ah, yeah, I think different in a sense where 2 years ago I got it fairly comfortable, but I was a rookie, I guess. I'm fairly new to darts and didn't really know any of the players, which was an advantage at the time. Um, but now I went in it knowing I'm a better player, with more experience. So I told myself I'll be better than 2 years ago, and if it's gonna be, it's gonna be. But yeah, I think obviously the experience, it makes a big difference.
You got off to a really good start, as you say, and you're on 6 points after the first 2 days. Was it a case of pressure off after those first 2 days? You might be in a position where you've already got your card.
Yeah, I knew 6 points were most likely going to do it, but obviously, I felt like getting one more point was pretty much the goal for day three. Um, and I think I reached another top 16, so I got 2 more points. And then I played Sadluck in round four. And when he finished a 170 on me, got up 3-2. I was like, it's all good. I kind of let the focus go a little bit, knowing I was in a good spot. I was tired, so I kind of mentally and physically you let go a little bit of the focus and all that.
In terms of when you
And
lost, sorry, in terms of when you lost your tour card, it wasn't the second year at all. The second year was excellent, but the first year is really where you lost it. Is it going to be different this time around? Get off to a quick start?
yeah, definitely. I don't know if I'm expecting the last 6 months I had of the second year, but it'll definitely be a lot better than my first year ended up being. Just now knowing everything, going in it with a little bit more confidence. So that part will be easier and better for me. So I'm expecting to kind of keep going where I left last year. That's the plan, obviously.
Can you put your finger on why you had that really good run of form towards the end of last year, where that came from for you?
Take a little bit of confidence, and it came at the right time where it was a busy spell. Also in the US, around that time, I started having a lot of success again. I won on the CDC Tour. I won the CDC Match Play. I won a lot in Nashville. So it was the right timing, and then having those back-to-back weekends, just it worked out. I think I was throwing a little bit faster, less thinking. I went in matches thinking I'm going to win it, and I felt really relaxed, really comfortable. And before, all those first rounds were finals for me, and now I was aiming for board finals or top 16s. So the mindset changed a little bit towards the end of the year.
Qualifying for Ali Pali was a big goal of yours, I know, and one that you managed to achieve. Was it disappointing, the performance maybe, and definitely the result in that tournament?
Yeah, you have always high expectations, of course, and I knew it was going to be difficult, not ever having played on this stage. And then I ran into an on-form opponent, and I look back, I averaged like a low 90, which is not really bad, but it's this day and age, it's kind of subpar. So I wish I could have shown more. I felt it was more in the tank, but it just didn't work out this year. But the whole experience as a whole, it was quite amazing. And then having my family there, I enjoyed it all. And while I was disappointed, I kept enjoying it the whole day. Even after I lost, I took it all in and took it as an experience, and I hope to be back next year.
Did it kind of feel like you've achieved part one of your journey, getting to the World Championships, ticking that off the bucket list, and now it's the start of a new chapter for yourself?
Yeah, you get a fresh start, and I knew after year one, you already know that keeping your tour card is going to be very difficult, and then the first 6 months of year two were not much better, and then I knew it's like, if I want to make the Worlds, then I better start getting that ranking money, and that's kind of when it happened. But I always knew in the back of my mind that keeping the tour card was going to be tough. So it feels like a fresh start, and I'm very excited. I'm happy. I don't have to look at the ranking for a while. I could just play freely and see where I end up.
Why did you decide to go back to Q School? Because there's players from North America, Danny Baggish, obviously Jeff Smith's decided not to play on the PDC Tour after losing his card. Why did you decide to make that decision?
I set out a plan, and I wanted to stick to it, and it was a 5-year plan, and going in the year 3 pretty much. And I said for the next 2 years, if I didn't get it this year, I would try again next year. I gotta stick to the plan and trust the process that it's all gonna work out. I do have to say, after the first day at Q School, I called my wife and I said, I don't really know if I want to go to the Challenge Tour. Like, I don't know if I'm up for it. Like, obviously, it's a step down from the Pro Tour. So and then having to travel to England as much as we do. I already had doubts after day 1 at Q School, but then luckily after day 2, it was not a topic anymore.
We know those qualification routes have changed slightly for the World Championship, which possibly advantages the players based in North America that are competing on that circuit. How difficult is it going to be to qualify for you, and would it possibly have been easier back home?
Wouldn't say if it's easier. Like, I played in 2 weekends, and I had a couple runs, and then I won one. But the field in North America is incredibly tough as well. I do think, like the way Jeff looks at it, for instance, I think he has a valid point. He has to invest less time and resources, and he can have the same result. He could be at the Worlds, at the Grand Slam. He could play big tournaments over here that are hosted by the CDC. So, I get where he's coming from, and I was already tired after 2 years on the tour, and I think he was on the tour for 5 or 6. It's not easy, especially if you're not one of the big boys up in the top 30, 32. It's not easy, and so I think in that sense it's easier to go through the North American route than it is trying to qualify through the Pro Tour.
You talked about your 5-year plan there. What does it say? Where does it say you're going to be after year 4 or year 5?
It doesn't. Yeah, for me, I want to be established on the tour. Like if I would lose my tour card after 2 years again, I would have to be playing better or feeling better than I do now for me to go back to Q school. You need to see progress, and if it's not there, then it's hard to justify the investing your time and money in traveling back and forth. I would say right now that's probably top 40, 50 in the world. Also, if you look at prize money and look at what it cost, then I think being top 40, top 50, it's reasonable. You can live off of it. But if you're outside of that top 64, you're just from my standpoint, having to travel, it's just an investment. I'm not. I postponed my career. I'm not saving for my retirement. So those are all things that after a few years you're gonna have to make a decision and say, is it all worth it? I guess.
Is it becoming more difficult for those players outside the top 50 and definitely outside the top 64 to make it worth it? We've seen the changes to the Pro Tour being midweek, which will affect some of them, the changes on the European Tour as well. Is it more difficult?
You lagged out there a bit, but I think I kind of knew what you were saying. Yeah, they're not making it easier for us. Definitely not. I think there's going to be a bigger divide between the top 32 and the rest. What I think will also happen is that players that are way outside the top 64 after a year or half a year, they might not be showing up anymore. So I think we're going to get a mix of Pro Tour and Challenge Tour on the Pro Tour. Those that are willing to invest their time, even though results aren't there, they'll stay. But there's plenty that are going to be. I'm not taking vacation just to get my butt kicked on the Pro Tour. And later in the season, you're going to see a lot more people drop off. I guarantee you. So I think in that sense, it wasn't the best decision. But it doesn't affect me since I already travel so much and I couldn't work anyway as it is right now. But yeah, I think it was it wasn't a move that helps the bottom part of the PDC.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Final one for you. We mentioned about the World Championship this year. That must be a big goal for yourself to get back there, but it is going to be a tough goal. It's probably the Pro Tour Order of Merit is the most likely route.
Yeah, you're cutting out again, but Pro Tour route to the Worlds and all that. Yeah, that's definitely going to be the way to go. I'm going to try to play as much CDC tournament as I can, but I think there's already 2 for sure that I cannot make, 2 weekends. And this year it's going to be 5 weekends. But if I can make it, I'll definitely be there. But I'm not willing to skip any Pro Tours for it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Jules. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch up later in the season.